So the Cheltenham Festival starts tomorrow, but with no cheering crowds and empty local pubs, this year's event will be a stark difference to last year's.
More than 250,000 people attended back in 2020, just as coronavirus was spreading through the UK. 10 days after it finished, the first lockdown was then announced.
Our social affairs correspondent Fiona Lamdin has been to meet one family who were there.
More than 250,000 people filled Cheltenham and its racecourse this time last year. Just days later, the country went into national lockdown.
It was very busy, absolutely packed, so I suppose everybody spread it all through the town, really.
It's a family tradition. John and Chris, with their children, go to the festival every year.
I remember the day we went to Cheltenham, and the next thing, 3-4 weeks later, I was, woken up in intensive care with tubes and all the machines beeping and, nurses round and, thinking, what's going on?
And for the next 8 weeks, John was in hospital, fighting for his life.
We had a Zoom call with one of the doctors so that me and the kids were able to see him, because that might be the last time we did see him. So that was an awful day.
And even though John survived, there were many complications.
Gangrene on my thumb and finger and on my toe and that, bleed on the brain.
John and Chris believe their whole family caught COVID from Cheltenham, but no one can be entirely sure. The festival was among the last mass gathering to take place in the UK before the nation was overwhelmed by the first wave of the pandemic. Finn McRedmond was there working as a correspondent for the Irish Times.
Now it just looks like sheer lunacy that it was allowed to go ahead, especially against the backdrop of what was going on in Europe at the time. Italy was entering into lockdown, the World Health Organization was declaring a pandemic. Ireland was closing its schools, but meanwhile there are all these revellers at Cheltenham.
A year on, things couldn't look more different. But 12 months ago, this was one of the most popular pubs for racegoers.
What Race Week does in Cheltenham is it gives us a second Christmas, so it was a really positive time for us. It was probably our second biggest festival period we've had at this pub since it opened.
You were actually uneasy about staying open?
Yeah, we were as a team at the time. Had the government said, don't worry, we'll underpin your business risk, then we would have closed.
So where did the green light come from? This was the Deputy Chief Medical Officer for England on breakfast on the morning the festival started.
People should be going to events, they should be taking appropriate hygiene, as I've just described, and that's the most important thing they can do. And actually outdoor events, the virus won't survive very long outside. It will lose its viability to transmit disease, and so many outdoor events particularly are relatively safe.
The British Horse Racing Authority have said British racing acted on the best advice available from the government at the time, taking extra measures to keep people safe. The Department of Health says the decision was taken by the racecourse within public health guidance at the time. Last year, as the event was starting, one doctor urged people not to go.
We were told repeatedly, this is an outdoor event. The issue that was not being also addressed is, whilst it is an outdoor event, a lot of indoor things also happen. For example, getting onto the bus, the train, the coach. If we had got our actions, our messaging and our response better, we would have had fewer deaths.
2 months later, on the 22nd of May, John finally came home.
How lucky do you feel you've still got your husband?
Very lucky, yeah, really lucky.
What we've been through in that, to actually, still be here with family and that is, is a blessing.
But he says even when the pandemic is over, he'll think twice before returning to the festival. Fiona Lamdin, BBC News.